Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something that, well, it genuinely looks different. Not just another minor phone refresh.
Yeah, definitely not.
We're talking about the new iPhone Air. I mean, forget what you think a smartphone should look like. This thing is incredibly thin, just 5.6 millimeters.
It's striking.
And it's got this distinctive feature on the back, this extended platform plateau. Apple calls it the deco. It feels like Apple is really trying to redefine things here, blending design and engineering in a new way. It's certainly got people talking, both good and, well, maybe questioning.
And that's exactly the tension, isn't it? You see it, and the initial reaction is often, wow, that's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah.
But almost in the same breath, the question pops up. Okay, what did they have to give up to get it that thin? Did Apple sacrifice too much for this look?
Right.
And that's the core dilemma for you listening. Is this iPhone Air, a glimpse into the future, a feat of engineering showing what's possible? Or is it maybe an elegant but ultimately impractical experiment?
That's the big question. So our mission today isn't just to rattle off specs. We want to really dig into the why behind this phone. What's the engineering story? What could it signal for the phones we'll all be using down the road? Let's get into it.
Okay, you mentioned sacrifices. That's usually the first place people look with these ultra-thin designs. So for the iPhone Air, what are the specific trade-offs Apple made? What got left on the cutting room floors, so to speak, to achieve that thinness?
Yeah, it's a pretty significant list, actually, and it goes right to that heart of that is it worth its question.
Okay.
First off, and this is a big one for many, just a single main camera.
Just one.
Just the one, which is, a big departure from other high-end phones, even Apple's own Pro models. Then the USB-C port. It's there, but it's still running at USB 2 speeds.
Oh, really?
Still.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so data transfer isn't going to be super fast.
Oh.
We're also looking at a smaller battery capacity compared to the standard iPhone 17, at least on paper.
Right, the milliamp hour number is lower. Exactly. And then there's the move to eSIM only globally, including mainland China, which apparently even caused some launch delays there.
Wow, okay. eSIM only everywhere.
And beyond those, the physics of an ultralight, ultra-thin design means there are inherent challenges. Things like performance release, how well the chip can sustain peak speeds without throttling, and just the overall speaker quality can be affected.
Wow, okay, those aren't small things. Single camera, slower data port, potentially less battery capacity, eSIM only. I can see how for many listeners that might sound like, well, a step backwards in day-to-day use. How might those choices actually feel?
And that's the crux of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
For someone who loves photography, the single camera means no built-in ultra-wide, no optical zoom. That's a real limitation.
Yeah, definitely.
USB 2 speeds.
Yeah.
If you shoot a lot of video, getting those big files onto your computer, it's going to take noticeably longer.
Okay.
The smaller raw battery number might worry people, although we should definitely get into how Apple's trying to offset that later. And eSIM only, well, it's less flexible if you travel a lot or just prefer swapping physical SIMs.
Right.
Though, the whole industry seems to be heading that way eventually.
True.
So yeah, if you just look at that surface level spec sheet, these trade-offs, they definitely make it a harder sell for certain users. No doubt.
It does seem that way, just looking at the list. But you hinted there's maybe more going on than just cutting features back. You're suggesting Apple didn't just, trim things down, but actually rethought the whole internal layout?
Absolutely.
So.
This is where we need to kind of shift our focus. Move away from just the spec sheet. The camera count, the battery size, and look at what I'd call the structure sheet.
Structure sheet. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, think of it like the spec sheet tells you a house has 3 bedrooms, but the structure sheet shows you the clever blueprint, how the architect made it all work, maybe found space you didn't expect.
Got it.
The iPhone Air isn't just about making things smaller by subtracting. It's what seems to be a systematic reconstruction. Apple didn't just trim. They seem to have fundamentally redefined how space inside the phone is used.
Ah, okay. Now this is where it gets really interesting for me. Not just smaller, but rebuilt internally. And that deco, that extended platform plateau on the back, that sounds like it's the absolute key. You're saying it's not just decoration anymore or just housing the camera. It has a real job to do.
That's exactly it. It's the core of this space redistribution idea. It's a paradigm shift, really.
Yeah.
Instead of the usual approach, which is like global compression, just squeezing everything down uniformly.
Right, trying to make everything thinner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Apple seems to have done almost the opposite, a much more surgical approach.
Yeah.
They identified the components that take up the most vertical height inside the phone.
Okay, like what?
Things like the main chip, the A19 Pro in this case, the
Mm.
power management circuitry, the whole electroacoustic system, speakers, mics, and of course the camera module itself, all the tall stuff. And then they basically concentrated and you could say folded all of those key elements into that single deco area. It's like they built a compact, multi-story component block right there.
Huh. So Apple basically decided, okay, we'll make this one spot thicker
Right.
so that we can make everywhere else incredibly thin.
That's actually kind of brilliant. It's counterintuitive, like packing for a trip and putting all your bulky shoes in one separate bag to make your main suitcase slimmer.
That's a great analogy. And the payoff, the crucial outcome, is that this move completely frees up that whole mid to lower section of the phone's body.
Right, where your hand usually sits.
Exactly. And that newly empty space, it's now dedicated almost entirely to a single larger area, high energy density battery. So they've turned what used to be seen as just a necessary evil the camera bump into a core functional element, design becoming function.
Wow.
And the engineering that went into the deco itself looks pretty sophisticated. It's being described as a double-sided precision milled integrated structural cabin.
Okay, that sounds complex. More than just a cover. Much more. It's designed not just to house the computing core, but also to manage all the tricky system-level stuff that comes with packing things tightly. Heat dissipation, preventing signal interference between components, optimizing the sound performance. It's a highly integrated, multifunctional structure.
That makes so much sense now, and it really clicks with that Steve Jobs philosophy Tim Cook often mentions. Design is not just what it looks and feels like, design is how it works.
Exactly.
This design flips the script on camera bumps being just a compromise. Here, the bump is the functional design. That's a real aha moment in phone architecture.
It is. And think about a practical benefit that might fly under the radar. Heat.
Ah, right. Where does the heat go?
Well, by putting the main heat generators, the A19 Pro chip, the power management up in that deco area, it moves the primary heat sources away from where you typically hold the phone.
Interesting. So it might actually feel cooler in the hand during heavy use.
Potentially, yeah. Your palm and fingers are gripping the area that's now mostly battery, which doesn't generate nearly as much heat. We'll need real-world tests, of course, but some early benchmark data does hint that Apple might be using some software limits on the CPU frequency, perhaps to manage thermals and ensure it stays comfortable without needing bulky cooling.
That's clever. Improving the feel without adding like a fan or something. Okay, let's circle back to the battery. You said it benefits directly from this space shuffle. The capacity number, 3139 mAh, is technically smaller than the standard iPhone 17's 3692 mAh, but because of how it's laid out.
Exactly. The volume it occupies and the area it covers within the phone are apparently significantly higher because of all that freed up space. It's like having a smaller gas tank number, but the tank itself is shaped perfectly to fit the available space, wasting nothing.
Gotcha. More efficient use of the internal volume.
Right. And when you pair that optimized battery layout with the expected energy efficiency gains from the A19 Pro chip, plus Apple's usual iOS optimization magic, they're claiming a pretty impressive 27 hours of video playback.
27 hours. That's quite a claim.
It is. It's apparently 4 hours more than the iPhone 15 Pro, which really highlights that battery life isn't just about the raw mAh number. It's about the whole system working together efficiently.
True. Of course, the proof is in the pudding. Real-world usage will tell the tale.
Always.
And just quickly on the physical side, despite being so thin, how's the structure? Are they worried about, bending?
They seem to have put thought into that. It uses ceramic shield glass on both front and back, which is known for being tough.
Yeah.
There's a titanium frame. And apparently they're even using some 3D printed titanium components, specifically around the USB-C port, likely for strength and precision fitting in that tight space. So the goal seems to be thin but robust.
Okay. Thin, but hopefully not fragile. Good to hear. So we've got this picture now. Extreme thinness achieved through some clever, if maybe controversial, internal rearranging. Significant trade-offs, but also potential benefits like battery life and maybe even hand feel. Now, the big one. Is this just Apple doing its own thing, or is this a signpost for the rest of the smartphone industry? What does this mean more broadly?
Yeah, that's the multi-million-dollar question, isn't it? And I don't think it's as simple yes or no. It's not like, say, the Dynamic Island or MagSafe, where you can see other companies trying to replicate the feature directly.
Right, it's more fundamental.
Exactly. The iPhone Air is offering an engineering solution to the problem of thinness. It provides a new structural approach, a different way of thinking about internal layout, a different design sulu or design path maybe. It's about how you arrange things, not just what features you include.
So who won't copy this?
Well, I think it's pretty clear it won't be universally adopted. Think about the big, high-end camera phones, the ones pushing the limits with 1-inch sensors, complex periscope zoom lenses, sometimes even active cooling.
Yeah, the real camera beasts.
Those phones need massive internal volume and complex stacking. They require significant thickness, that Z height, just to fit the optics and the cooling systems like vapor chambers. They often need components spread out to manage heat and interference. The iPhone Air's approach of concentrating everything in one spot, it just doesn't fit that goal. Their deco areas are already huge, but for totally different optical reasons.
Makes sense. Different priorities. So who might find this influential?
I think it could be very influential for two main categories. First, what you might call light flagships.
Okay, what are those?
Phones that aren't necessarily trying to win the spec war on camera zoom or raw power, but are focused on premium design, great feel in the hand, and a really smooth daily experience. For those phones, the iPhone Air's strategy consolidate the height-hungry modules, camera, chip, power, sound, into one structural block and dedicate the rest to a big, flat battery that's a really valuable blueprint for optimizing the structure. It shows a path to elegance and good battery life.
Okay, so premium daily drivers, basically.
Exactly. And the second area, foldable phones.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, it's one of the biggest challenges of the foldables.
Yeah.
Thickness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And managing space effectively, especially in the half that doesn't contain the hinge.
Yeah, they can feel bulky.
This iPhone Air design offers a new potential strategy. Concentrate the necessary thickness in one functional zone, like a redesigned deco, and then use the space freed up elsewhere to make the overall device thinner and lighter, or fit a bigger battery without adding bulk. It could be a way to get to that next generation of foldables that feel less compromised.
That's a really compelling thought. No wonder people are whispering that maybe the Air is a sort of design rehearsal for a foldable iPhone down the line. It really does feel like it presents a fork in the road for phone design.
Path 1. Thicker, more power, more camera. Path 2. Thinner, elegant, efficient through clever structure. Like a muscle car versus a sleek electric concept.
That's a good way to put it. Two different philosophies emerging.
Apple certainly has a track record of carving out new paths, sometimes ones the whole industry eventually follows, sometimes more niche ones. The iPhone Air, even if it's not for everyone, definitely throws down a gauntlet about how we build these things.
It really does. And that leads to the thought I want to leave everyone with today. Imagine what our phones could become if manufacturers moved beyond just, piling on more hardware, bigger sensors, faster chips, and instead started fundamentally rethinking the design of the internal space itself.
The iPhone Air is basically Apple's attempt to prove that structural design isn't just in service of performance. It can actually reshape the user experience, making the phone feel better, maybe last longer on a charge. It's about using engineering cleverness to redefine the possibilities, not just brute force specs.
It's a fascinating proposition. Will other makers grab this idea and run with it, turning it into another mainstream approach? Or will it remain Apple's kind of unique engineering romance, a beautiful experiment? Well, that's something for you to watch for as the next wave of smartphones arrives.